gelato. Just saying the word, it just conjures up so many scenes of celebration and indulgence and summer. It's so hot here, and so I wanted to make homemade gelato. It's just, you think about all your memories with gelato. It can be, perhaps you're just on your own and you've decided to treat yourself after a really hard week and you're just completely focused on that gelato. No company, no television, no nothing, just focused on that cone. Or perhaps you're on a date in Rome, it's a balmy summer evening, you're wandering down a cobblestone alleyway with someone, wondering if you're going to kiss them or not. There's so many beautiful experiences with gelato, and I have made homemade gelato before. Actually, I've made it a couple of times actually, and it was really good, but I can't remember the recipe. So this past week I've been experimenting with different measurements because I tend to always like to create my own recipe. It's been quite fun, although very hot. I made the mistake you'll see in the final scene. It was very difficult to film the final result. It was a delicious result, but so hard to film with 40 degrees and ice cream melting and me just being on my own with a baby, trying to pick up the baby, move the tripod. Guido was in Florence, so I was on my own. And yeah, let's just say I probably could have filmed it a little bit better, but the thing about gelato that is different from ice cream is it does melt more, it has less air. There are experts far more qualified than I am to explain the difference between gelato and ice cream, but basically a lot of the artisanal gelato is made using mostly milk and fresh eggs, and then it needs to be eaten quite quickly in a couple of days, and it doesn't last as long as ice cream. And I just love it because it is, you'll notice the texture, the difference between gelato and ice cream. It's smooth and velvety, and it's actually stored. It's not as cold as ice cream, so it does tend to melt quite quickly. It's very soft. In fact, even all my memories here in Italy is, as you know, they serve the gelato, and then almost before you've left the gelateria, you have to be licking because it's running down your fingers. In Rome, actually, I used to live on top of a gelateria, which was incredibly dangerous. In fact, you might be wondering, if you have such a love for gelato, Kylie, why don't you buy a gelato, an ice cream maker? But I talked about it with Guido, and we both decided we have such a weakness for gelato that having an ice cream maker in the house would just be a disaster. This way, I really have to work for the gelato, and work you must. You can make gelato, a delicious, beautiful velvety gelato, without an ice cream maker, but all you have to do is you have to take it out of the freezer every 30 to 40 minutes and whip it up and agitate it so that those ice crystals don't form, and so you get, as it is slowly freezing, you're making sure that those little crystals of ice aren't forming within the gelato. And that can be a bit laborious, I have to say. I think I was taking it in and out of the freezer for about 10 hours every half hour, agitating it. But yeah, it was basically taking care of the gelato was like taking care of a small baby. It's like you can't let it, because if it freezes and you haven't given it enough attention, it will be hard and just watery and not nice. But fortunately, I managed to have a great result. What flavor to create? Well, this was a hard one. If you ask most Italians, some of the favorites are a classic vanilla, or pistachio, or nocciola. And in the end, I decided, look, nocciola was really intriguing to me because I wanted to roast my own hazelnuts and make a paste. A lot of different recipes that I was reading, traditional recipes, were even calling for hazelnut paste, which I couldn't get access to in the supermarkets here. But I thought, oh, how hard could it be to just, with a mortar and pestle, grind the toasted hazelnuts into a paste myself? And indeed I did. And it just shows you can almost create anything you want at home. I wasn't sure if I could make it into a paste, but I have. Look, amazing what you can do with a bit of effort. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but it's all wet now that the oils have been released. I didn't think I could get it to this consistency, but I have. Just with a mortar and pestle. Amazing. I also made my own homemade cones, which were, sorry, excuse the screaming in the background. Guido's just with Gianfranco, so he's not being neglected. Tutto bene? Sì. Okay. Okay. So one of the flavors was nocciola, hazelnut, and the first thing I needed to do was toast the hazelnuts. You get that wonderful flavor from just fresh hazelnuts in general, but then when you toast them, oh my goodness, it just takes the flavor to a whole other level. And as I was just with my mortar and pestle crushing them up, sweating out here under the pergola, I was just thinking, this is a lot of work, but it's so gratifying because every step of the way I was inhaling the scent of the toasted hazelnuts, and then the chocolate that I used for another flavor. Honestly, I think it gives you a reverence for your favorite sweet or any dish that you're making when you make it all by hand, because you will never look again at that little scoop of gelato the same way. You will think, this is artisanal gelato, because doing things at least once or twice in your life by hand, you truly know what goes into making each element, the texture, the flavor, the visual, the color. I was using all these fresh egg yolks and just looking at the beautiful color and saying, oh wow, it's so vibrant. This is when I was making the vanilla. You can get like a vanilla that's just white or just this artificial yellow. And yet, when you have good gelato artigianale and you get crema, it's that beautiful rich yellow that is natural from the egg yolks. So it certainly is a pleasurable yet arduous experience making gelato, but I hope you will accompany me and see how it was. You don't have to go through this experience yourself. If you're sweating in your own country right now, you can just watch me sweat and go to the trouble and then go down to your favorite gelateria and take the easy route. But I thought you may be interested in seeing what it takes to make your own gelato completely made by hand.
I start with milk. Sometimes I've made gelato with milk, eggs and sugar alone, and this is in fact how some very traditional gelato is made in Italy without cream. I'm adding vanilla bean seeds, and then you warm the milk, but be careful not to ever let it boil. Then egg yolks. I like to add a lot. You could use less, but one flavor I'm making is crema, or vanilla, and I want to make it rich and decadent. To this I add sugar and whisk until frothy and pastel yellow. I add the milk gradually to create a gentle transition in temperature called tempering the eggs. Then I divided it into two pots because one will be crema and the other one will be nocciola, hazelnut. I add some cream and my hazelnut paste to one pot.
Io non conosco nessuna vecchia signoressa a fare gelati.
No.
Cioè, un conto è fare le marmellate, la pomarola, la pasta, le lasagne, il cinghiale. Il gelato è un'altra cosa, quindi it's obviously something traditional, but it's very specific.
and lemon zest to the crema flavor. Then I return them to the heat. I don't own a cooking thermometer, but you want to stir and heat it until the mixture thickens ever so slightly, until the back of a spoon is coated and you can trace a distinct line through it. Then I pour it quickly into a bowl that I've chilled in the freezer beforehand to bring down the temperature immediately. Cooking the eggs and then making them cold again removes any risk of salmonella.
My favorite flavor, I can't say. I mean, it changes so often. I do, honestly, recently I've been enjoying, when I say recently, I mean like in the past year, I've been enjoying yogurt because I think it's very fresh. When it's so hot, you may not want something really heavy with lots of caramel and things like this. Many years ago, I made salted caramel. Salted caramel's a favorite, but I wanted something a little bit fresher because it is so hot right now in Italy. And I wanted to make this flavor that is in this little gelateria. I'm not going to say where it is because, first of all, it's not in Florence. It's just out of Florence where we live. And you can get good gelatos in so many places, so you don't need to go here to this place I'm talking about. But anyway, it's just an example of it's on the side of the road. It's not in a main piazza. It's not frequented by any tourists, and it doesn't even look pretty. It doesn't even have a nice place to sit or anything. But their gelato is so good. I absolutely love it because it's fresh. It feels light, and after some gelato, you feel thirsty. I think I remember reading somewhere that if you feel thirsty after gelato, it's a sign of bad gelato. But this particular gelateria does one that is their signature flavor, and it's a very rich vanilla cream. Like it's very yellow, so it's like got lots of egg yolks. And then it's got little pieces of dark chocolate and orange. It is so light, but also just sort of gorgeous and decadent as well because of the dark chocolate. And I think dark chocolate and orange and vanilla, or ricotta. Actually, if I'd had ricotta, I would have put that in because that's such a great combination as well. It sort of tastes like you're eating a cannolo, a Sicilian cannolo in gelato form. I just thought, I would love to be able to just have that flavor on hand. And so I'm going to make it with a little bit of the juice, but mostly just lots and lots of zest, which carries so much flavor. I left the gelato to rest overnight before I started the freezing process, which apparently helps all the flavors just deepen and become more intense.
With this third batch of gelato, I used slightly different ratios of sugar and cream. I also added some honey, which is said to help with the texture. And then I began the freezing day. This was a 10-hour process. I guess it could have been a bit shorter, but I really wanted to ensure that the texture was lovely and smooth. And so you need to take it out of the freezer every 30 or 40 minutes and just whip the three gelato gusti to stop ice crystals from forming. I did this over and over again with a few breaks to cool down in the outdoor shower and the pool, each time watching the gelato get thicker and more beautiful. Look at that, we're getting there! We're getting there! Oh. See? Ah, ciao! Sto preparando il gelato, ho fatto la mano. Grazie, sì, no, 2 minuti e arrivo, che devo... No, vai, dai, dove vai? Io mio. E qua,
Vieni, vieni. Guarda chi c'è, amore.
No, non ce l'ho, vedi là, quello marino.
You know how good it's going to be at the end, and so I think that sustains you throughout the whole process. You become almost like a scientist as well, because really gelato is so much about the texture, and every time you think, oh, should I just let it freeze a bit more, or should I take a shortcut, and then you think, no, let's try and aim for the ultimate that ultimate sort of creamy, velvety softness in the mouth that you get with a beautiful gelato.
He likes to hold his little flower. Yes. You hold your little flower, my love. Yes, my love. It's a horsey. Look. Yeah. Amore. Gianfranco. When Guido came back from working in Florence, we went for a walk on the property down by the vineyards where wild, juicy blackberries grow at this time of year, which will be perfect to serve with gelato. It's one of the activities we most enjoy doing together, foraging for wild or homegrown fruit and vegetables. I cannot wait until Gianfranco is older and can enjoy picking fruit with us, but he still seemed to enjoy it, even on this occasion. You want to touch it, my love? Vuoi toccare? How does it feel? Picking fruit is such a slow but rewarding task. For the cones, I don't have a waffle maker, so I couldn't get that lovely signature little print on it, but I think you can still get certainly the flavor and the texture. So I mixed the leftover egg whites that I had from making the gelato with some sugar and salt and vanilla, milk, cinnamon, brown butter, and flour. I spread it out in a pan just with a spatula or the back of a spoon, and then you have to roll them very quickly while they're still piping hot so that they will take shape. I put mine in vases and glasses while they cooled down.
Dai!
Korea!
Oh.
You like it?
Delicious. Flavor is very nice.
Yeah, this is the classic just crema. Is it good? I haven't tried it yet. Can you taste the hazelnut?
A lot.
It's creamy and fresh. It's just so light. It's light and yet sweet and creamy.
So in the end, what was the winning recipe? I have to say that I need to make this one last time, as each of the 3 gelato flavors, which had different measurements, produced a slightly different result, and only by making a 4th batch can I truly give you the perfect quantities. But even if you never make this at home, maybe next time you have a craving for gelato, you can seek out a gelateria artigianale, not the ones with those high mountains of artificially colored gelato made with additives, preservatives, powdered milk, and too much sugar. Seek out the little place making gelato that is fresh and natural and made with love. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my patrons, and stay tuned because I will be publishing another episode this week. Let me know in the comments your favorite gelato flavor for inspiration of what gusto I will make next time. Grazie, alla prossima.